When they handcuffed the female SEAL sniper in court, an admiral entered the shocking truth. The courtroom buzzed with an energy like a live wire, charged and unpredictable. It was the kind of moment that made your heart race and your palms sweat. Just moments ago, everyone had been expecting another routine hearing in the ongoing military trial, but nobody anticipated the spectacle about to unfold. As soon as Commander Rachel Harris, the most feared female sniper in modern military history, was handcuffed before the judge, whispers erupted among those in attendance. The air felt thick, almost electric, as the world outside faded. Cameras clicked, capturing every flicker of emotion on her face, defiance mixed with disbelief. Her once steadfast expression faltered only for a heartbeat. It was a glimpse into the storm brewing inside her. People leaned in, eyes wide, curiosity bubbling like boiling water. Because Rachel didn't just wear the stripes of a SEAL, she also donned the weight of a scandal that was slowly unraveling before their eyes. Still, more shocking was the ominous figure lingering at the back of the courtroom, a rear admiral, his crisp uniform and starred insignia glimmering like a beacon of authority. His presence was stone-cold unsettling. Why was he here? The gossip in the room thickened. Was he here to support her or to see her downfall? Caught in the crosshairs of scrutiny and speculation, the packed audience could almost palpably feel the tension. Then came the strange murmurs, whispers of classified missions gone awry. What did she know? What had she done that brought the mighty Admiral to this very room? The walls felt like they were closing in, punctuated by the rhythmic tapping of court clerks' shoes echoing ominously through the silence. Just as a choking quiet settled over the crowd, Rachel's eyes flared with intent. Could this be the moment that revealed everything? But before another word could be spoken, she tilted her head defiantly, as if challenging the Admiral with an unspoken question. Are you ready for the truth? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With uncertainty wavering in the air like the humidity before a summer storm, a crackle of energy surged through the gathered spectators. What Rachel unveiled next could shatter their perception of honor and loyalty forever. In that moment, the Admiral stepped forward, his visage unreadable and firm, the audience hanging on the precipice of the unknown. Would Rachel's world combust under the weight of scandal, or would she rise from the ashes like a phoenix? The court held its breath in anticipation, as dark secrets loomed just beyond the next few words, holding promises of terror and triumph. What truth lay hidden in the shadows, ready to burst forth? The tension in the courtroom hit a breaking point. Rachel felt the eyes of everyone bearing down on her, hot and heavy. She locked her gaze onto the rear admiral, who stepped forward with deliberate slowness, the faint rustle of his uniform echoing like distant thunder. A bead of sweat trickled down Rachel's spine, but she held her ground. This wasn't just her trial. It was a revelation waiting to happen. Commander Harris, he began, his voice booming, commanding, you are accused of collaborating with the enemy during Operation Titan. How do you plead? Gasps rippled through the audience, faces twisted in shock. Rachel's heart raced. Collaborating? The charge was an arrow aimed straight at her honor. Yet, underneath the scrutiny lay something deeper, a sense of dread and betrayal. Not guilty, she replied, her voice steady despite the whirlwind inside her. She felt the weight of each word. A declaration, a challenge. But then an unexpected emotion flickered in her chest, fear. How far had things spiraled out of control? The Admiral's eyes narrowed, searching her face for a crack in her armor. You claim innocence, yet you were seen meeting with known insurgents. What were you discussing? A surge of whispers erupted. The room grew even denser with anticipation. Rachel clenched her fists, her knuckles whitening. The evidence presented against her was damning, but she held a secret that could change everything, a truth buried beneath layers of deception. I was reporting. To save lives, Rachel shouted, her voice rising, saturated with urgency. Every eye in the room flicked to her, stunned by the passion behind her defiance. There are bigger implications at play here, and the truth will reveal itself. This trial is a farce if all we're doing is playing into the hands of those who want our silence. Do you not see? Her heart pounded. This is not about me, it's about the mission, about the lives we've lost and will lose if you allow this to continue. The Admiral raised an eyebrow, intrigued but unyielding. You're claiming there are higher stakes? That you have information that could change the narrative? Rachel paused, the weight of his words lingered in the air. Part of her wanted to shout it from the rooftops, to expose the intertwined threads of loyalty and treachery, but fear clawed at her throat. She had to be careful. Trusting the wrong person now could spell disaster. Let us not act like we don't know the truth of the real enemy here. This isn't just about the rumors or the accusations, she said, her voice lowered but fierce enough to ripple through the silence. This is about protecting those who are out there, risking everything for a cause that isn't theirs to carry. Those who are expendable according to someone who sits comfortably in their office. Silence fell over the court, thick and oppressive. Eyes darted from Rachel to the Admiral, confusion and curiosity simmering. She had placed herself on the edge of a razor, and one misstep could send her tumbling into oblivion. Yet there was a spark of fire in her heart, the determination to fight, to uncover the truth. The Admiral took a step back, deliberating. If this is true, Commander, then you must take a stand, and you will have to choose your allegiance wisely. The air pulsed with unspoken words, the warning clear, one miscalculation and she would lose it all. As Rachel's heart thudded, the audience hung in the balance. Questions whirled around her mind like a storm. Who could she trust? What if revealing the truth would only tighten the grip of those pulling the strings? A thought crashed into her like a tidal wave. The whistleblower angled the very existence of a mole within their ranks a lethal secret, but they would have to discover that for themselves, wouldn't they? And as she locked eyes with the Admiral once more, she knew one thing: the true test was just beginning. What story would emerge from the ashes? In that moment of profound uncertainty, Rachel breathed deeply, her next words hovering on the edge of catastrophe. Did anyone truly know who the enemy was anymore? The courtroom buzzed with electricity, each whispered conversation a sharp contrast to Rachel's racing thoughts. She felt the weight of eyes on her, some filled with skepticism, others with intrigue. The Admiral's presence loomed like a dark cloud ready to unleash a storm, but Rachel forced herself to remain grounded. The stakes had never been higher. Commander Harris, the Admiral said slowly, his voice like steel, this is your chance. Speak now or remain silent and risk everything. The intensity in the room thickened. Rachel's pulse quickened, each beat a reminder of the power she held in that moment. If only she could trust her instincts. With a quick glance at the audience, she noticed one face: Megan, her longtime partner and confidant, seated in the back. Their eyes locked, and in that fleeting connection, a silent question hung between them. What do I do? Rachel swallowed hard. I know who the real enemy is, she declared, the words tumbling out before she could second-guess herself. And they're hiding behind ranks, wearing uniforms, yet betraying us all. Gasps erupted again, sharper this time. The Admiral's expression hardened. Commander, be cautious. Accusations require evidence. Are you saying we've been infiltrated by our own? The palpable tension had the crowd leaning in, hanging on her every word. The room felt smaller, suffocating, and each pair of eyes dug like knives, slicing through her defenses. Rachel took a breath, steadying the storm within. Yes, and I have proof, she insisted, the flames of determination igniting her voice. Proof? Do you think it wise to make such claims without due process? He fired back, relentless. Wise? Rachel scoffed, gesturing expansively. Look where wisdom has led us. People are suffering while secrets become shackles, and yet I'm the one on trial. Behind her, the audience was transfixed. Megan's brow furrowed, worry blending with excitement in her gaze. Rachel was onto something bigger, but how could they dissect the labyrinth of loyalty without losing everything? Speak carefully, Commander. You tread dangerously close to insubordination, the Admiral warned, though there was a flicker of doubt crossing his features. The gravity of his words pressed on Rachel, making her gut twist. Yet, she resolved to push on. There was a fire kindling, and with it, a fleeting hope to turn the tide. If I go down, I won't go alone. She cried, voice rising in fervor. This isn't just about me or my fate. It's about every soldier out there who deserves to fight without being sold out. Enough. The Admiral barked, stepping forward again. The crisp sound of his uniform snapping in place echoed through the courtroom. The authority in his tone was visceral, it chilled the air. The audience held its breath, some clutching their chairs as if bracing for impact. Rachel felt her heart race, the walls closing in. If I'm going to answer the charges against me, I demand to discuss the evidence I have. Evidence of a mole, someone aiding our enemies from within. The silence that followed felt like a weight pressing against her chest. All eyes darted among each other, faces flickering with disbelief and anticipation. It was dangerous to claim such knowledge without solid proof. It could ruin her or, worse, put all of them at risk. The Admiral narrowed his gaze. You are treading unknown waters, Commander. I need to know if you're pulling the veil or just trying to shift the blame. I'm only trying to reveal the truth. If we don't confront this now, we will keep losing soldiers for nothing. They stared at each other, the air vibrated with unresolved tension. Then, from the back, a voice broke the stillness. Megan stood, defiance etched across her face. You should listen to her. We all feel it, don't pretend this isn't happening. We need to look within. Rachel's heart raced. Could this be the moment they needed to rally? The Admiral dissolved into an icy silence, contemplating this unexpected challenge. Very well, Commander Harris. We will investigate your claims, but mark my words, be prepared for the consequences should you walk this tenuous line. The court murmured with mixed emotions: relief, fear, hope. Rachel's breath quickened. This was the opening she needed, but she also knew that with every step forward, dangers loomed closer. As she gathered her thoughts, a cold realization washed over her. If there was indeed a mole within their ranks, every move she made could be watched. The ticking clock of betrayal now resonated within the walls. With newfound resolve, she braced herself for what lay ahead, even as shadows encroached from all sides. A single question settled in her mind like a malignant growth: whom could she trust when danger lurked everywhere? And as Rachel's gaze drifted back to the Admiral, the thrill of uncertainty wrapped around her like a noose. The real fight was only just beginning. What truths would unravel next? Rachel stood at the precipice of turmoil, fear and determination intertwining in her chest. As the murmurs in the courtroom swelled like a rising tide, she could almost feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on her shoulders. They had given her a chance, but with it came strings hanging precariously from a thread. The Admiral turned his back on the audience momentarily, the glint of authority in his stride sending shivers through the room. Rachel watched him, her instincts screaming. There was something unyielding about his composure, something that seemed to grant permission to the whispers circling the courtroom. Megan remained standing, her resolve as strong as steel. Rachel wanted to reach out and tell her to sit down, to extinguish the fire that was drawing too much attention. But there was no stopping now, not when they were on the edge of history, standing on the fringe of a secret too dangerous to ignore. What do you think you're doing? The Admiral's voice cut through the silence like a jagged blade. This isn't a rally, it's an investigation. Megan met his gaze, fire in her blue eyes. It's a betrayal, Admiral. If Commander Harris is right, and I believe she is, we don't just face a failure of trust, we face our defeat. His jaw clenched, but it was the glint in his eye that worried Rachel. He was weighing options, and she knew that the scales were tipped precariously at the moment. Would this rally turn against them? Could they afford to provoke someone with so much power? Very well, the Admiral said slowly, returning to face Rachel. Let us hear this proof you claim to have. But know this, if you fail to substantiate your accusations, you will not leave this court untarnished. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she sensed the significance of her next words. I need to make a call to the officers stationed at headquarters. I have reason to believe they've intercepted communications that involve the mole. The audience breathed deeply, and Rachel could feel the tension building like a coiled spring. Each breath felt heavier than the last. If they were watching her, if there was indeed someone from their ranks feeding information, then every word had to count. The Admiral shifted his weight. A call. Why should we trust you to speak with them? You could be leading us into a trap. Because if I wanted to betray you, I wouldn't be here putting everything on the line. She sighed, a shaky breath escaping her lips as she glanced at Megan for strength. I chose this path, and it's the only way to keep everyone safe. The Admiral hesitated, and the tension stretched thin around them all. Rachel saw the flicker of doubt in his eyes. Was it enough? Very well, he conceded, a hint of resignation creeping into his voice. One of my aides will facilitate the connection, but you will have 5 minutes. His command broke the crowd's rapt silence, and they shifted as one. This wasn't just a courtroom drama anymore, it was a crucible of truth and deception. Rachel felt her own pulse quicken as the Admiral called for one of the aides. She sensed that the pressure was mounting not just from the people watching, but from the looming threat of betrayal hanging over them. Who could she trust during these critical moments? As the aide approached, she felt Megan's reassuring presence beside her. Time seemed to stretch, each second hanging in the air like a loaded gun, waiting for someone to pull the trigger. Megan, if this goes south, Rachel started, her voice tight. Megan squeezed her shoulder. We're with you. Whatever happens, we fight this together. With quick, almost frantic movements, the aide arranged the call. Rachel's breath caught in her throat. What would she hear? What truths would the next few moments reveal? The silence enveloped her, thick like fog, the stakes higher than ever before. The moment the connection went through, an unfamiliar voice crackled over the line like static, sending chills down her spine. Commander Harris? We've been waiting for your call. And you need to know. The world around Rachel narrowed into focus, anticipation charging the air. Just what kind of truth would surface? And would it shatter everything she believed? It felt like standing on the edge of an abyss, one step closer to revelation, and yet, deeper into the shadows. Darkness lurked just out of reach, the aftermath could change everything they knew. And as she leaned in, the voice continued, sending a jolt of urgency through her. Rachel steeled herself, knowing that whatever was about to unfold could shift the entire course of their struggle. Would it be salvation, or the end? A potential breach of our operational security. We monitored an encrypted channel that mentioned a specific rendezvous point. The mole is active tonight, the voice continued, urgency lacing every word. Rachel's breath hitched, a cold wave of dread washing over her. Tonight? She echoed, her heart racing as the implications settled in. Who are they meeting? We don't have all the details, but the name Crosswinds came up. You need to get your team there before it's too late, the voice urged, trembling beneath the weight of knowledge. Crosswinds? The term ignited a fire in Rachel's veins. It was a place notorious for clandestine exchanges, a playground for spies, a hideout for the treacherous. If their mole was involved, their entire operation was at stake. 5 minutes are almost up, the aide reminded them, glancing between Rachel and the Admiral, who was gazing at her with growing suspicion. The Admiral stepped forward, his presence suddenly looming like a storm cloud. You're saying a mole is making contact tonight? How do we know this isn't all a diversion? The skepticism in his voice was palpable. Rachel could feel the tension snap like a rubber band stretched too far. She had to act now or risk everything crumbling before her. Megan. Rachel's shout cut through the tension. Can you gather a team? We need to mobilize and head to Crosswinds. We can't allow this to spiral out of control. On it, Megan replied, determination etched on her face. She turned on her heel and sprinted toward the door, urgency propelling her. Wait. The Admiral called, but she was already gone. Rachel fought the instinct to look back. Time was of the essence. She had to stay focused. Commander Harris, the Admiral began, but Rachel interrupted him before he could voice his objections. No. We don't have time for doubts. We need to trust each other. We can't let the mole win. We must take a stand. She felt the adrenaline surging, mixing with fear, a cocktail that propelled her forward. What if I lose my command? The Admiral whispered, a crack in his iron facade showing. Then it will be worth it if we can stop this threat. You want to protect your men, don't you? This is bigger than just the investigation, Admiral. It's our integrity on the line. His eyes narrowed, visibly torn. But there it was, the flicker of realization. He understood. The reality of their situation was sinking in. Very well, he growled, as if coaxing up the remnants of his authority. I'll allow it. But I want my best men with us. You can't go in unprepared. Rachel nodded, a rush of gratitude washing over her. Thank you. We'll need all the help we can get. She turned to the aide, who was still hovering awkwardly. Get me those details about the location. We've got to move now. The aide quickly nodded, fumbling with a notepad, and then jotted down details. Rachel read his chicken scratch, heart pounding with every word, every visual forming a picture in her mind of what lay ahead. Outside, the sounds of the courtroom faded into a low murmur, an echo of a world they no longer belonged to. They were skirting the edge of danger, and she could feel it in her bones. Rachel, the aide's voice was soft but urgent. You have to know, if the information we hold is compromised, then I'll take all responsibility. Trust me, I'll do whatever it takes, she replied with conviction, and as they completed preparations, a sobering thought washed over her. How many lives hinged on this single moment? What if there were unforeseen consequences? The weight of the world rested on her shoulders, and as she moved toward the exit, every step felt like a countdown. Each breath was more labored, and the sense of urgency grew stronger with each tick of the clock. Hold tight, she whispered to herself, we're coming for you, whoever you are. Just before they left the courtroom, a voice crept up from behind them, a sultry, unmistakable voice. You really think you can stop this, Harris? Rachel froze. She turned slowly, dread pooling in her stomach as she faced a figure silhouetted by the fading light. It was someone she never expected to see again, an ally turned adversary. It's too late for you, the voice continued, a smirk playing on lips that had once offered camaraderie, and for a moment, the gravity of betrayal weighed heavy in the air, pressing down on Rachel like a vice. What had she just walked into? Was the real threat closer than she had known? The line between friend and foe blurred, and as panic began to swell, she realized the clock was still ticking. Then tell me what you know. Rachel whispered, bracing herself for the unknown confrontation ahead. The figure stepped closer, the fading courtroom lights casting shadows that twisted and danced around the familiarity of her face. Rachel's pulse quickened, recognition flooding her senses. It was Alyssa, her former teammate, a woman who had once been a shield against the threats they faced together. What are you doing here? Rachel's voice trembled, confusion mixing with anger. You shouldn't be anywhere near this. Alyssa laughed softly, the sound icy and devoid of warmth. Funny how that works, isn't it? You think you're so good, playing the hero while the real game is right under your nose. Cut the chatter. You're saying you're on the other side now? What are you after? Rachel felt the world closing in, each second stretching painfully, knowing time was slipping away. Money, Rachel. Power. Isn't that what we're all seeking? Alyssa leaned against the wall, casual yet predatory. You think your little operation is safe? You think you can just waltz into crosswinds and make everything right? You're too late. Too late. Rachel echoed, her heart thudding in her chest. Each word was a dagger, cutting into the uncertainty hanging in the air. What do you know? They're going to expose everything. This was never about just one mole, Rachel. You've been fed misdirection. The real threat is much bigger. And you're just a pawn, a useful one, maybe. But a pawn nonetheless. Rachel swayed slightly, the truth of those words knocking the wind from her lungs. The reality was more complex than she dared imagine, and Alyssa stood as a chilling reminder of how swiftly one could turn. Why are you telling me this? She asked, searching for any sign of the friend she once knew. Because with you gone, it makes my job so much easier, Alyssa replied, and for a fleeting moment, Rachel saw a flicker of the loyalty they had shared, twisted now into something dangerous. Why betray your own? Rachel pleaded, trying to reach that flicker of humanity. We were family. We could still fight this together. Alyssa scoffed, rolling her eyes. Family? That was just a cover. The real connection was survival. You just haven't faced that truth yet. Rachel's gut clenched in disbelief. And you think you can survive by siding with the enemy? By destroying us all? Better to be alive and serving than to drown in the idealism you cling to, Alyssa shot back, her face hardening. But I won't be the only one trying to stop you. You brought them here. A chill crept down Rachel's spine as realization dawned. They're already in motion. Think of this as a final warning. You have a decision to make. Walk away or face the consequences. Alyssa started to retreat, shadows enveloping her like a cloak. Wait! Rachel shouted, but it was too late. The doors swung shut behind Alyssa, sealing off her words like a damning echo. The old familiarity twisted into something sharp. The game was on, and the stakes were higher than ever. Breathless and reeling, Rachel turned to the Admiral, who stood with a mix of confusion and anger. If she's a part of this, if we're compromised, his voice trailed off, dread settling in. Then we go to crosswinds now. Rachel's voice was a whip crack, sending a surge of determination through the room. She felt the weight mounting again. They were on the precipice of chaos, the world outside was spiraling, hinging on their next moves. As urgency coursed through her veins, she rallied her thoughts. Gather the team. Prepare for anything. We can't let them get to us first. She couldn't shake the feeling that betrayal was not just lurking in the shadows, it was stalking them, whispering through every crack in their efforts. With her heart pounding, she took one last look back at the closed door, nerves buzzing. The threat was clear, but their resolve needed to be stronger. Trust will be the hardest lesson learned tonight, she thought, determination flickering against the impending storm, but as they geared up to leave, another unsettling thought planted itself in her mind. What if there were still others waiting, watching, ready to turn the tide against them before they even reached crosswinds? As she stepped out into the dimly lit night, Rachel resolved to unearth the truth, no matter who she had to face along the way. Would the price of ambition be too high, or could she forge a way through the impending chaos, where betrayal felt like a blade at her throat? The wind whipped around Rachel as she stepped into the eerily quiet night, every sound sharpened against the anxious thrum of her heartbeat. There was only darkness ahead, but the weight of unspoken threats loomed larger than ever. Her mind raced like a wild horse, caught between the fear of betrayal and the flickering hope of survival. Do we have all the intel? She called, her voice slicing through the thickening atmosphere. The room was already on edge, the air heavy with unvoiced fears and murmurs echoing Laney's name, their fallen ally, whose memory trailed behind them like a ghost. Almost ready. Came a response from Mark, the tech specialist, his tone tense. He flicked through a series of screens, illuminated by a haunting blue light that cast shadows across his face. Rachel could see the battle between determination and doubt etched in his features. As Mark loaded the data, Rachel glanced at Admiral Thompson, who watched quietly, his mind clearly sprinting through the ramifications of Alyssa's warning. "What do we know about crosswinds?" Rachel pressed, breaking the charged silence. "Beyond the basics." The Admiral's eyes darkened. "Rumors of restructuring. Something instrumental is happening there. They've changed security protocols recently. What used to be tight is now flexible." Flexible? A chill slithered down Rachel's spine. That's a warning sign in itself. The room's energy shifted. They all knew the stakes were higher than a mole. Alyssa's words echoed violently in her thoughts. No longer was it just about their mission, it was about dismantling an entire network of deception. How deeply were they entangled in this web? Emily, the team's analyst, stepped forward. "I found connections between crosswinds and several key players in the higher-ups. People we thought we could trust. People like..." Rachel felt her stomach twist. "Like your beloved Senator Martinez," Emily said, her voice shaking like a tightrope under a heavy load. "He may be involved in orchestrating events from behind the curtains." The sheer weight of that revelation slammed into Rachel like a freight train. "No, it can't be. He supported us. He put his reputation on the line." "Maybe that's the point," Emily countered, her eyes blazing with a fierce intensity. "He's been playing both sides. It's a survival game, and we're only pawns in it." Rachel clenched her fists, rage boiling beneath her skin. How many more people were willing to flip-flop for a fleeting gain? "Then we cut him off," she said, her voice hardening. "We expose him." "But how?" The Admiral's voice was steel. "If what Alyssa said is true, we're right in the crosshairs. If they know we're coming, the whole operation could be gone before we even enter." Rachel felt the room close in on her. Disappointment washed over her like a wave. "Then we take them by surprise. We go off the radar and approach from an unexpected angle." She was surprised by her own resolve. "No one can know we're coming." "Risky," Mark interjected, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. "But it's our best shot. Then we initiate the plan." Rachel took a deep breath, steadiness returning to her voice. "We're not losing any more of our own. We push into crosswinds and uncover everything, come hell or high water." They exchanged glances, confusion mixed with a reluctant hope. They all felt the gravity of the moment, the bond solidifying once more, a flicker of unity against overwhelming odds. As they gathered up supplies, Rachel's heart raced. She knew time was slipping with every passing second. And as they moved toward the exit, a thought gnawed at her, the nagging realization that there could still be a traitor among them. What if the enemy was not just waiting at crosswinds but right beside her? "All right, team," Rachel commanded, her voice cutting through the tension. "Stay close and watch each other's backs." But just as they reached the door, a sharp ping resonated through Mark's system. Rachel whirled around. "What now?" Mark's face was blanched, his eyes wide. "We've got a breach. Someone's in our network." The weight of that truth slammed into Rachel harder than any punch. If they were compromised, survival suddenly felt less attainable. How deep did this betrayal go? As they shared a look in the sudden silence, the atmosphere cracked with tension, a prelude to the storm ahead. Rachel steeled herself and moved toward Mark, ready to confront whatever grim news awaited them, but the moment she looked back, she felt the weight of eyes watching them from the shadows, something sinister lurking just beyond their reach. Who would turn on them next, and what price would they pay for the truth? In the heart of chaos, they were running out of time and answers. Would they uncover the truth deep enough to confront the real threats, or would they be too late to save not just themselves, but everything they fought for? Rachel's heart was a drum, pounding in her chest as the screens flickered ominously. Panic surged through the team, each face reflecting the fear etched into Rachel's mind. They had gambled on secrecy, and now, the very network that had once felt like a lifeline was poised to pull them under. "Mark!" She shot, urgency fraying her voice. "What do you see?" Who is it? Can't tell yet, it's encrypted, he muttered, fingers dancing madly over the keyboard, searching for something, anything to grasp. Sweat trickled down his temple, smearing the faint glow of the screen. But it's definitely someone with access. They've tunneled into our system from outside. The weighted silence hung thick. They were being hunted, and their safety teetered on a precipice. Admiral, what are our options? Rachel turned to Thompson, who had become a rock amid the chaos. His eyes narrowed, focused, but she detected a hint of dismay lurking behind their steel facade. We can't just wait here, he replied, voice steady but low, a cold shiver threading through Rachel's resolve. We need to split up. Create distractions. If they're in our network, they'll have eyes on us. We need to cause a diversion and then regroup elsewhere. Splitting up? Are you kidding me? Emily blurted, shaking her head. That's exactly what they want. We're vulnerable alone. Or we're dead standing still, Thompson countered, meeting her disbelief head-on. It's our only choice to discover how deep this goes. We have to flush out the traitor before it's too late. Rachel weighed the options, fear pulsed at the back of her mind. What if they were being followed? What if someone was ready to strike now, in this moment of indecision? Listen. She stepped forward, bounding to the front of the group. We all know our roles. We can do this. The fire lit within her, a need to take back control. Mark, you stay here and secure our data as best as you can. We'll create chaos outside. We keep our radios open. If anyone sees anything out of the ordinary, we regroup back here. The team nodded, resolve solidifying as Rachel glanced at the window. Darkness enveloped the night, but it was a veil hiding potential danger. Time's not on our side, she urged. We move now. They dispersed quickly, Rachel's heart raced as she drifted towards the exit with Admiral Thompson. As they slipped outside, the cold air stung her lungs, mixing dread and adrenaline. Rachel, the Admiral spoke quietly, his voice measured, laced with urgency. We need to confront Senator Martinez. If he's behind this, I know. But it won't be easy. I can't shake the feeling he's right in the thick of it. Rachel cut him off, the knot in her stomach tightening further. He acted too quickly when we shared intel. Just then, the unmistakable sound of sirens pierced the quiet night. Red and blue lights spiraled below, illuminating the alleyway in a broken rhythm of chaos. A knot of panic surged again. This isn't good, Rachel whispered, eyes darting. Contact, Thompson said, drawing Rachel's attention back. We need to move. They rushed further into the dark streets, adrenaline propelling them forward as the sirens echoed ominously behind. Who had alerted the authorities? Who had betrayed them? As they ducked behind an inconspicuous structure, Rachel pulled out her radio. Mark, do you copy? Static buzzed on the line, but there was no response. Confusion bloomed. Mark. This is bad, Rachel. If they've gone silent, Thompson's words fell heavy, filled with dread. She slumped against the cold brick wall, the weight of uncertainty shrouding her like a lead blanket. We need to find him. Suddenly, the sound of footfalls echoed nearby, quickening the pulse of fear in her veins. The shadows stretched, twisting like a lurid apparition, and before she could breathe, a voice called out, low but menacing. I wouldn't run if I were you. Rachel's pulse shot through the roof, adrenaline sparking at the unanticipated threat. Just as she turned to face the sound, her back hit the wall. A familiar face stepped out of the darkness, one she thought she trusted. Surprised to see me? Senator Martinez smirked, the glint in his eyes as chilling as the night around them. In that moment, all her instincts screamed that betrayal was not just a possibility but a reality. What had she walked into? The walls were closing in. And now the real fight was about to begin. The shadows cast by the flickering streetlights wavered as Rachel pressed against the wall, trying to collect herself. Senator Martinez was too close, a lurking predator in a tailored suit. Each beat of her heart thundered in her ears, the tension thick enough to slice. Her mind raced, searching for a way out, a way to turn the tables. As if you'd have the guts to detain me here, Rachel, Martinez taunted, his smile curling like a snake's. This isn't a game. You're in way over your head. Is it not? Rachel shot back, defiance surging in her chest. Or are you just afraid I'll expose what you really are? She could feel Thompson tense beside her, ready to spring into action, but she signaled him to hold back, hoping to gauge the senator's true intent. Expose? Martinez chuckled, an unsettling sound that made Rachel shiver. You have no proof. Look around. You and your little friends are the hunted now, not me. He took a step toward them, eyes sharp. I can say with certainty, your secrets won't stay hidden for long. You've played a desperate hand, and now. His gaze flicked toward the alley entrance, and dread washed over Rachel. Now, the authorities won't give you a chance to escape. You're cornered, Rachel. That's when it hit her. The sirens, the sudden urgency, the feeling of being hunted, it all started to make horrifying sense. Martinez wasn't just here to intimidate, he was orchestrating a trap. Thompson. She whispered, barely containing her panic. We need to move. They're coming. But just as she turned to make her escape, headlights swept into the alley, blinding and relentless. The ominous roar of engines cut through the dimness, and a squad of officers poured into view, guns at the ready. There was no denying it now, they were here for Rachel and anyone caught in the crossfire. Rachel. Thompson barked, urgency inching into his voice. Get down. In a heartbeat, they darted for cover behind a dumpster, the metal scraping against the ground as they shifted, hearts hammering. Rachel's mind was racing faster than her feet. How could Martinez have pulled this off so swiftly? We need to make it to the van, Thompson urged through clenched teeth, his eyes scanning for the next move. We can't let them take you. The radio crackled to life near her, the sound harsh against the backdrop of chaos. Rachel's breath hitched as she realized it was Mark. Rachel, I'm here. They've breached the system. I don't know how they got in, but they're tracing your signals, and they know you're close. The fear in his voice was palpable, pouring into her like icy water. Mark, what's your status? Can you get out? She pressed urgently. No chance. He gasped, then there was a moment of silence, a loaded pause that made Rachel's breath hitch. They're coming for me too. Suddenly, the shots rang out, splintering sounds that shattered the night. The clang of a bullet ricocheted against the dumpster mere inches from Rachel's face. She shrieked, adrenaline spiking. Stay low. Thompson shouted, his arm shielding her from the oncoming danger. We need to get out of here, now. The world tightened around her, the clash of chaos exploding into a surrounding storm. Rachel could barely think, her instincts kicking in. With a burst of clarity, she turned to Thompson. We create a distraction. Use the smoke bomb. Thompson nodded sharply. There was no time for second-guessing. They had to act. As he scrounged for the device, Rachel's eyes darted back to Martinez, who stood smugly as if this was all part of a twisted game. Coward, Rachel hissed. You're going to regret this. With the smoke bomb activated, the world erupted into a kaleidoscope of gray and white. Visions blurred, and they plunged into the obscuring haze, hearts racing, senses keen, but as they darted past the chaos, something unexpected hit Rachel's gut. Had she really seen Martinez grinning through the smoke, his eyes gleaming with triumph? Or was that just a trick of the dim light? Rachel. Thompson's voice cut through her turbulent thoughts. Go. Now. Forgetting doubt, trusting instincts, she lunged forward. Into the fog, desperation fueling each stride. But behind the shroud of smoke, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were dancing in the palm of a plan much larger than them, and it was far from over. As sirens wailed in the distance and chaos swirled around them, her only thought was, what if I can't trust anyone? A dagger of fear pierced her heart as the shadows shifted again, dragging Martinez's men closer. The darkness was closing in, and Rachel knew one truth: she had to uncover the reality behind the senator before it consumed everything she fought for. But just as they made a break for it, a figure emerged from the haze. "Stop right there." The voice sent chills down her spine and her legs froze. Who stood in her way with a gun drawn? The game of deception was far from over. Rachel's heart raced as she stared down the barrel of the gun, shadows swirling with disorienting chaos around her. Every instinct screamed for her to run, yet there she froze, caught between fear and the grit that defined her. The figure emerged from the swirling smoke, a silhouette she instinctively recognized. "Back away from her." Thompson's voice boomed, stepping protectively in front of Rachel, eyes narrowed in fierce defiance. "Give up, Admiral." The voice belonged to a familiar face, Agent Collins, a former reprieve and now an enemy. "You're outgunned and outmaneuvered. You think you can save her?" The air thickened, stinging with betrayal. Rachel felt the pulse of adrenaline coursing through her, desperation tugging at her heartstrings. "You don't know what you're doing, Collins. You're risking everything." He smirked, the derision in his eyes cutting deeper than any bullet. "I know exactly what I'm doing. You and your little seal have played your cards wrong. The game has changed." Thompson moved slightly, positioning himself in a way to shield Rachel from the armed threat. "We're not letting you take her. You think Alyssa's safe? You think there's trust among thieves?" Collins chuckled, a dark sound that hovered dangerously near despair. "Trust? That's obsolete in this game. You should know that by now, Admiral." He raised the gun, but something shifted in his posture. Maybe it was fear of uncertainty or a hint of regret. "But it's too late for you, Rachel. You get caught in this web, and there's no escape." With a flick of her wrist, Rachel's hand came up, heart pounding. "You're delusional if you think you can end this with bullets. If you're here to silence me, you'll have a fight on your hands." The tension coiled tight as Thompson mouthed a warning silently, urging her to be quick. "We need a distraction." She felt the gravity of their shared time, mission after mission, trust forged in the fires of war, and it fueled her determination. Suddenly, she heard a voice crackle through her radio. "Rachel, it's Mark. I got your location. We're coming." The very mention of a plan gave a flicker of hope, but it was fleeting. Collins' expression darkened, the cold truth settling in. "No. Back off, Rachel. You're nothing but bait." Time slowed like molasses, and in that split second, determination erupted. A scream from behind the alley surged up, the sound pulling Rachel's focus, the weight of chaos crashing around her. "Mark." Thompson didn't hesitate. "Get back, Rachel." But she sprang forward, pushing past both men as the gun fired just beneath the din of confusion. Adrenaline coursed through her, fueling the urgency to protect those she loved. "No." She felt that the bullet grazed her side, barely, but it knocked her off balance. A sharp gasp escaped her as she collided with the wall, every ounce of air leaving her lungs in panic. "Rachel!" Thompson shouted, rushing to her side. The rush of voices filled the air, the sirens now a relentless chorus in the background. A figure loomed in her sight. The line between danger and loyalty blurred as she struggled to remain upright, eyes flaring with anger and pain. "You're not saving anyone." Collins snarled, a hint of triumph lining his gaze. With desperate energy surging within her, Rachel locked eyes with Thompson. "You keep them away from here. I can still fight. Damn it, Rachel. I'll not leave you out here." He was shaking, fear evident in those blazing eyes. But she managed to pull herself to her feet with a gasp, clutching her side, blood staining her fingers. "That doesn't matter right now." She yelled, her voice cutting through the haze of uncertainty. You need to get to Mark. They're watching us. A crumbling realization flooded her, visions of every decision and allegiance leading them to this precise moment. There was no room for second-guessing, they had to act. And just when it seemed all hope was slipping, the familiar sound of boots echoed through the alley, forces emerging to cover their escape. On your six! Shouted one of Mark's tech team. Colin's eyes sharpened, panic flashing across his face. As the tide shifted. Get her! He barked, eyes darting between Rachel and the advancing line of armed agents. Rachel's heart thrummed with fear and rage as she drew herself up fully, that fire deep within ignited under pressure. You think you can take me down? This is just the start. With renewed energy, she launched herself forward, hurtling toward Collins. A punch came straight at him, catching him off guard. He stumbled back, just enough that she heard the crack of gunfire and thunder of furious feet. Thompson took the cue, grabbing Rachel's arm, and together they surged back toward safety, dodging chaos erupting right behind them. There was no looking back, they were fighting for everything they held dear and racing against a clock that seemed determined to rob them of victory. Just as they broke free of the shadows of the alley, Rachel felt the warmth of healing adrenaline mixed with the weight of fear. They were nearing the van, but would it be enough? And that was when she faced the dark truth behind her purpose and allegiance. In that moment, as she leaned close to Thompson and whispered a rush of hope, we're not just fighting for us anymore, Thompson. We need to expose Martinez, the real players in this game. Thompson nodded, determination firming in his stance. Then let's end this mess once and for all. As they sped away, Rachel drew a deep breath. The fear did not vanish. It roared with purpose. The roads ahead were obscured in fog and shadows, but with true allies at her side, she felt the weight of possibilities lifting. They were not done yet. The fight had just begun. And no betrayal would define their fate. With the night closing around them, she knew this was their moment to reclaim not only their integrity but also lives intertwined in their mission. The dawn of truth was just beyond the horizon. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories that will blow your mind. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep the content flowing. Flood the comments section below with your reactions and theories about this ending. It truly matters. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us build this amazing community together.